Today's video is brought to you by Assiniboia Downs Gaming and Event Center. Be sure to tune into this channel live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Lights, hosted by Trust the Profits.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Pick 5 Players Show. My name is Michael Pellerin, a.k.a. Horse Guy Mike. And today we're going to be talking about this weekend's card at Monmouth Park. Big day at Monmouth. It's the Haskell Day. We have 5 stakes races, finishing off with race number 12, the Haskell Stakes, entering that summer season, the next biggest race after the Triple Crown Series for those 3-year-old horses on the dirt. Really excited to end the card with that race, but we've got 4 other really good stakes races on the card. Looks to be a little bit chalky in some areas, so we're going to talk about how we can find value on that. So with that being said, we'll dive right into this card. We're going to be starting with race number 8 with leg 1, the Grade 3 Monmouth Cup, going 1 1/8 on the dirt. For older horses, we're looking at 2 really good horses here in the number 3 Collaborate and the number 6 Proxy as the choices I'm going to be leaning on as the top 2 that I think are really the only ones that have a shot here. The number 1 Anti-Gravity for Dan Ward, previously with Jared Hollendorfer, raced here at Monmouth, last out in an allowance, got second. Raced in this race last year, got distant 4th. Hasn't won since an allowance race last year. That's going to be an easy toss for me. Forewarned, the number 2 horse. Another horse had a really big win at Parks earlier this year in March with a 104 Brisnet speed figure. Won that race going a little over a mile. But since that, it hasn't really done anything. So going to be a toss for me coming off of that performance. Collaborate for Jamie Ness. Jamie Ness took over the training for this horse last race, increased its speed figure significantly first off of that trainer change. So not really sure what's going on there, but seems to have found its rhythm, going longer, win 1.5 miles in its last 3 races, has been doing very well. So maybe the cutback in distance will serve it even better here. But a 101 Brisnet last out. Got second to a good horse named Next, but very impressive speed figures in that Grade 2 Brooklyn at Belmont. So I think Collaborate's got a good shot here. Maybe he prefers a little bit longer distance. I'm going to be coming from off the pace. We'll see, but Collaborate is one that I'm going to be definitely including in my ticket here. The number 4 Higher Quality. Not really liking the form cycle here. Has been switching trainers on and off. Hasn't really had a consistent distance, hasn't really had a consistent track, kind of running in Belmont and Aqueduct circles. Speed figures are middling, so nothing to get excited about for that horse. The number 5, Fowler Blue for Doug O'Neill. Coming off of 3 straight allowance races, was in the Indiana Derby last year. Coming off an allowance win at Ellis Park back in June. It's okay. Speed figures are fairly bad. I don't think it has the skills it needs to beat Proxy or Collaborate. The number 6 Proxy, the winner of your Oaklawn Handicap, last out in the Grade 1 Stephen Foster, got 8th, was well beaten that day, but just never really got going. Tried to close into the field. They were just too far ahead, didn't make up any ground in the stretch, wasn't really a part of the race. So just draw a line through that. And if you were to look 2 back, Oaklawn handicapped at 1, Santa Anita handicap, another Grade 1, got second by a neck, beaten by Stiletto Boy. Proxy's in a world of his own. This is a Grade 1 level horse racing in Grade 3 company here. I would say Proxy's almost a stone cold single. That last effort out is a little bit of a question mark for me. And then Collaborate is on the upper trend. So going to be using both of them and kind of just moving on from there. The other one we want to talk about, Wayland Springs, won an allowance here back at the beginning of June. Had a pretty impressive speed figure, beat the number 1 Anti-Gravity in that race, but I just think the waters are too deep. Jumping right into a Grade 3, facing horses that have won graded stakes beforehand. So just going to be going with the 3 and the 6 here, pretty chalky to start the leg out. So moving on to leg number 2, race number 9, the Wolf Hill Stakes, going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. This is the race that I'm spreading in completely. This is a $100,000 listed stakes race. So I don't really have any strong opinions here. There are a couple that I do like a lot. The number one, Iamon, Joel Rosario is on board. Has been running in handicap, allows kind of company, stepping up here to 100,000 K stakes. Has some tactical speed. Last race out was well back, was 8th place, was able to close up and finish first down at Gulfstream. Getting shipped up here. Trainer Joseph Roseno must think a lot of his horse to send him up here. There's a lot of good turf racing down at Gulfstream that he could be entered in. I think it's worth a shot. The number 2 horse, Midday Image, again, fairly good speed figures, mid 80s to the 90s in the Brisnet. Last out got 3rd, but that was coming off of 3 straight wins before that, sprinting on the turf. So last out was on good turf. We can see how the turf's going to be this weekend. I think another one that's worth a shot here. And again, we're going deep in this race because the 3 remaining legs are going to be extremely skinny for us. And this is the race that I do not feel confident in at all. So just want to kind of get through this one. The number 3, Allegon. This is the only one that this doesn't even have a rider yet. I couldn't find any way to include this horse at all. Just completely passed by. Number 4, Belgrano. Javier Castellano on board. Has been running in stakes company. Was running in a grade 3, mostly listed stakes. So has the stakes level experience. Has impressive speed figures. Has gone all the way up to a 98 Brisnet in the past. Running down at Gulfstream. Has run here at Monmouth. So has the experience at this track. I think it's worth a shot to include him here. Number 5, Witty. Tyler Gaffley on board. I always like to include Gaff on these turf sprints. I think he's one of the best turf sprinter riders in the country. Coming off of 2 straight seconds, one at Laurel, one at Pimlico. Mid-90s to upper 90s speed figures, puts a rate rate even with the other major contenders in this race. So definitely want to include him there. Number 6, Corduroy Road. New trainer. It could be an angle you want to look at, but it's never broken a 90 Brisnet speed figure. Everything's been 70s or 80s, which doesn't really compare to the rest of the field here. This one's going to be a toss for me. The number 7, Nothing Better. It's probably the most interesting horse in this race. Was racing in the grade 1 Jaipur last out. Was leading that race until they hit the stretch and then faded to 5th. That was at 6 furlongs, so cutting back in distance to 5.5 furlongs with a significantly worse field. This horse will probably romp, and you'll get kind of a chalky finish there. But I am taking some chances elsewhere, but I think this horse probably has the best opportunity to win. The number 8 horse, That's Right. This is another front runner. It's just not as good. Again, 70s to 80 speed figure, has never broken that 90 barrier. Going to be up on the lead, going to be creating a fast pace to set up for some of the closers, but I think Nothing Better is a significantly better front runner. The number 9, 4 Harp, another front runner. Better than the last one we talked about, That's Right, but not as good as Nothing Better. So I think those 2, 4 Harp and Nothing Better, maybe That's Right, are going to be the ones right on the lead. If one of them can go to the front, maybe 4 Harp, and slow it down, maybe there's a chance to hang on there. This horse only really wins from the lead. If it doesn't have the lead, it'll fade hard. Worth including if it can hold that lead, but we'll see. So those are the 6 that I'm going to be including. Just Jeremy's another one I'm going to be fading, and then Synthesis DMTO doesn't look like they're going to be off the turf, but if they are, probably redo this one. I imagine most of these horses would scratch and Synthesis would get drawn in. So moving on to leg 3, race number 10, the grade 3 Molly Pitcher going 1 1/16 on the dirt for older fillies. And I have a stone cold single here, and it wasn't the one I thought of when I was initially looking at this. I love Search Results number 4 horse. I've been playing Search Results all of last year, all of this year. I was really excited when she came back. But Loved is just looking fantastic. Number 6, Loved. Last out in an allowance at Ellis Park, won that race by 12 lengths, which was an incredible. Go watch that replay. It was sloppy that day. She was super impressive with Tyler Gaffley on the board. Has 3 straight wins by combined, 30 lengths in those three wins. So really impressive. Her only loss being in March of last year. Ever since she's come back, she's been completely different. She is going off of Lasix for the first time, so that is the only negative that I can see for her. And she has kind of high but not super high speed figures. So if you're really looking at something to draw negative about for her, her speed figures have not been super high. But again, she has not been pressed at all. She's getting a 97 Brisnet when she's winning by 12 lengths. You have to imagine she can do better than that when she's being pushed and being asked. So I'm singling Love. I'm fading Search Results. Search Results did have a really good Ogden Phipps where she got second to Clairiere, who Clairiere is the best filly in the country. But the speed figures for that race have not come back extremely fast. Clairiere kind of like caught her at the wire. Search Results had things go her way. Still couldn't hold on to finish. La Troyenne didn't come her way either, but that was her first off the bench since the Breeders' Cup. So excuses for both of those. I could see Search Results winning here and getting back in form for later on in this year. But I think I'm going to go with Loved here and kind of take a shot with the unknown quality. I think money is going to be spread out here. I think Love's going to attract a lot off of that impressive win, but I think Search Results and her graded stakes experience is also going to attract a lot of money. So I don't want to play both of them. I'm going to take a stand here with Love, the number 6 horse. Moving on to leg 4, race number 11, the Grade 1 United Nations is going 1 mile 3/8 on the turf. We have 10 horses entered. I'm going to pick 2 horses in this race. So again, being fairly skinny in all of them except for that second leg. I'm on the number 3, Catnip, and the number 6, Planetario. So Catnip and Planetario, again, the 2 favorites, pretty chalky here. Catnip's coming off of 3 straight victories, 2 of them here at Monmouth, so has the local experience, has the momentum coming into this race. And I think Catnip's going to be close to the lead with Planetario kind of coming from deep behind. But Planetario had a monster race 2 back at Santa Anita with a 106 Brisnet, got second in that race even. Came back with an impressive win by 4.5 lengths again at Santa Anita. So you can give that race 2 back an excuse. Had a high speed number, barely got caught, but was also the first race in a year. Hadn't raced since June of the previous year. Came back after almost a year layoff, threw up a high number, got second, came back again in June. Santa Anita won. Mike Smith's flying over for this race. Richard Mandela is sending this horse all the way over here for this race. Probably could have found a race at Del Mar for him, choosing to enter him here in the Grade 1. Shows that Mandela has a lot of confidence in this horse. So Planetario is definitely one that I think everyone needs to have on their ticket. I'm going to be including Catnip here as well, just because I think if Catnip can get closer to the lead, depending on how the pace plays out, it could be in a better spot to make that move. And has the experience here at Monmouth, won the local prep for this. So I think it's a 2-horse race. Therapist is a little interesting. The number 1 horse won the Pan American at Gulfstream Park on April 1st. Came back at Churchill and Ellis. Couldn't replicate its performance there. Still going to be a fade for me. The number 2, So High, had a really impressive Manhattan with a 101 Brisnet. Finished 8th in that race. So everyone in that race was doing really well. A lot of really good horses dropping or going from a Grade 1 to a Grade 1. It dropped into an allowance last out and got 4th. So dropping from a Grade 1 to an allowance and then back up to a Grade 1, it's a little suspect there for me. So I'm not going to be including. Ocean Map, middling speed figures, nowhere even close to anyone on this list. Limited Liability, same thing. Highest ever was a 91 Brisnet, mostly high 70s, mid 80s. Complete toss for me. Number 7, Yamato. Luis Saez could be interesting here. Coming off a Grade 3, got 4th place in that race. 2 back on a 94 Brisnet in an allowance for Michael Maker. Michael Maker is an excellent turf trainer, but another one that I'm not going to be including here. Number 8, Foreign Relations, had 2 wins and then went to the Sherwood Stakes, got beat at Ellis Park, going 1.25 miles. Maybe prefers longer. The last 2 races before that were at 1.5 miles. So maybe the added distance could be something that we could take into factor there. But I'm not looking to include him. The number 9, Red Knight, is the other one that I think probably has a shot here. This horse is 9 years old, been cheering for this horse for years now. Won the Man of War, the Grade 1 Man of War at Belmont. Surprised everyone. Came back and then Manhattan got 4th. Also threw up a big number, like I said, for that other horse earlier. Just couldn't get it done that day. I think it'd be super impressive if Red Knight threw up another huge performance here in another Grade 1. I just don't see it happening. I think that performance was kind of fluky. But who knows? I mean, this horse has been chugging along. We saw it with Casa Creed this past weekend. The older horses are still getting it done on the turf. So if anyone's going to do it, Red Knight's going to do it. But I think the other two have a significantly better shot than Red Knight does. And then the number 10, Kygo, again, middling speed figures, just a one to kind of fill spots here. I don't think they've got a legitimate shot at all. So those are the 2 I'm going to be going with in that race. Next up, let's move on to the final leg number 5, race 12, the Grade 1 Haskell going 1.125 miles on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Their first big Grade 1 race for 3-year-olds after the Triple Crown Series. We're seeing a lot of our favorite Triple Crown horses come back, along with some new shooters. The major new shooter in the morning line favorite at 5-2 is the number 8, Arabian Night. I think we are all looking forward to seeing this horse on the Triple Crown Trail. Had to get derailed a little bit. Has been on the bench since then. This is first off the bench, going straight to a Grade 1. I'm going to be fading Arabian Night. I think he's going to take a ton of money, and I'm not going to bet a horse that hasn't raced since January against this type of field. You've got the Kentucky Derby winner, you've got the Bluegrass winner, and the local prep winners. Arabian Night is going to be facing a ton of pace pressure in here as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. I don't think it's going to go his way. I think he'll be better later on this year, but this is not the race to take him in at a short price. So I'm going to be fading Arabian Night. And that leads me to the 2 horses that I will be choosing here, and that's the number 4, Mage, your Kentucky Derby winner, and the number 5, Tappet Trice, with Tappet Trice actually being my top choice in this race. I think this race is going to have a ton of pace. You look at the number 1, Go Rocket Ride, loves to be near the front. The number 2, Awesome Strong, loves to be near the front. The number 3, Salute the Stars, the winner of the Pegasus, the local prep, has been near the front, comes from more off the pace. The number 6, How Great is Nate, near the front. Number 7, Extra Anihu, near the front or on the lead. Has 2 races that he's won, has been on the lead. So this race is going to be hot. And the 2 best closers in the country are in this race, besides Forza, and that's Tappet Trice and Mage. I think Tappet Trice got a really poor trip in the Kentucky Derby, wasn't able to make up any ground, ran into a ton of traffic. You saw in the Belmont, he got a very, very close 3rd. He lost to Forte by a nose for 2nd. And if Forte was in this race, he'd be the favorite. And Tappet Trice is a really good closer. And I think with the lack of traffic here, he's going to get what he does best. He's going to get that big, long, extended run. He's going to start on the turn and just keep chugging along. And he's going to run these horses down. I think Mage is also an excellent closer, but we saw in the Preakness that things don't always go his way. And we know Mage's ultimate goal this year for the summer is the Traverse, and he's using this more as a prep from coming off the bench in the Preakness. And I don't know if Mage is going to be fully cranked, but he's still a good closer, and Mage's B game might be good enough to beat everyone else's A game. I think Mage and Tappet Trice are going to be powering home past these front runners as they hit the stretch. So I'm going with Mage and Tappet Trice. I'm looking for a big closer here to close into these inexperienced front runners, fading all the front runners, fading all the new shooters, and going completely with Triple Crown closers, Mage, Tappet Trice, lock it down here. So with that said, here's my ticket. Again, Skinny in most legs. We're going 3-6 in the first leg, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9 in the second. Singling the 6, then going 3-6, going 4-5, total of $48. Best of luck to everyone. Really excited for the big day at Monmouth. Getting a lot of action at this track that doesn't see maybe as much action as Saratoga and Del Mar this type of year, but they always put up a good effort for these big days. Appreciate it. Best of luck. Follow along on Twitter at HorseGuyMike. Follow the Trust the Profits YouTube page and follow us on Twitter. Make sure to like and subscribe, and best of luck this weekend. Take care.